Listen, I have thoughts that I'd be happy to share.
We had it before the
Sorry. Are you over there? Oh, wait, no, that doesn't seem right. I like alphabetical. No, no,
No, I just, I'm gonna,
Hi, everyone.
I put the worst golf. How's it going?
Yeah, how you been? How's
Pretty
your
good.
week?
Okay, it's feeling like it's gonna be long, but maybe not.
Don't even put that into the atmosphere.
I,
3 o'clock.
I think it's all the thought about the weather. Like I had to reschedule a bunch of stuff at work and all that. How about your
Supposed to
week?
have jury duty tomorrow, so we'll see what happens.
In person?
Yeah. It got pushed off. It's supposed to start Monday.
It's
Just want to
snowing.
get it over with. Say, stop calling me.
That's true. At least get it over
Just
with.
get it done. But then I think it's going to be delayed because of the weather.
I mean, not this week, but I would like to be on a jury.
Really?
Oh, I meant to ask
Got
you
meetings
this.
and stuff at work that I had
Well,
to do
that's
all around.
yeah. Like
Large projects.
it's got to be the right week.
Are you doing this or is
And then
Tanya?
they put you off
I am.
again.
Yes. I'm not presenting, no, I'm just gonna review the deal. Yeah, I just have to share it. It's not that big presentation. This data goes with the big presentation.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna read that data for today.
No
That's all we have to do.
And then Mike, yours is projected or you're going up there for your presentation? Okay.
No, none of these have slides. All the budget ones won't have slides.
Wonderful.
Like Tanya's mental health one, and some of the other ones have slides, but all the budget ones that, principals, they'll just do it from the podium when they start coming this week. All the budget managers. Get out of here. Who's that, Manly?
Aren't we?
Who's that, Manly?
We live in Central Jersey, not South Jersey. I'm just saying, just.
Tanya, but these are our special ed kids at Mass One Bank. Mass One Bank took them in, gave them a whole financial lesson,
Brandon?
and then gave them each, I think, $100 to start a bank account.
Really?
Yeah, I saw that in the packet.
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
So just like
And they gave them money, that's fine.
thank you, Mass One Bank, because they really made
Oh my
nice.
gosh.
Sleep late.
Wishing it was.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll take it.
Yes.
People get average.
I'll be asking you a lot of questions.
Yeah, I like that.
Good try.
Good evening.
Time just like chilling, you know?
Yes. Good evening. I'd like to call us to order for the board meeting of Tuesday, February 11th, 2025, and we will commence with the flag salute. And as I look to my right,
I hereby make this statement to indicate compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, known as Chapter 231 Public Laws of New Jersey, 1975, which became effective 90 days after enactment, January 19th, 1976. Notice of this meeting was given by providing the location, time, and date of this meeting, and posting the same on the front door of the Board of Education offices by delivering copies to Borough Hall, Metuchen Public Library, Home News and Tribune, and by filing a copy with Borough Clerk as prescribed by this law.
Thank you, Mr. Harvey. Roll call, please.
Mr. Bott?
Yep.
Ms. Cheatham?
Here.
Mr. Durflinger?
He has advised us he won't be here.
Okay, Mr. Glassberg,
Here.
Dr. Johnson
I
Marcus.
am here.
Ms. Colleen,
Here.
Mr. Lifton.
Here.
Ms.
Shrestha.
Shrestha, sorry.
Shrestha.
Sorry.
Here.
Dr. Spigner
She has advised us she will not be here.
and Mr. Suss.
Here.
Thank you, Mr. Harvey. And no showcase of success today, right?
Not
Dr.
this
Caputo?
evening.
All right, wonderful. And the meeting is open to the public on any topic at this time? Seeing none. We move on to presentations. I believe we have 2 today.
Yes, that's correct. First is going to be Mr. Harvier kicking off the first of several budget presentations that we'll make over the next 3 or 4 meetings leading up to the preliminary budget in March and the final budget presentation in April.
Okay, so we have 8 handouts to discuss tonight. First one is the budget calendar. Tonight, we're going to discuss the budget calendar, obviously, the baseline data, maintenance and custodial accounts, and transportation. February 25th, we're going to discuss curriculum, technology, and athletic co-curricular accounts, the governor's budget address, and the state released state aid is usually the last week of February. That appears to be on schedule this year. March 11th, we'll discuss special education accounts, school-based budget accounts, and the board will need to approve the preliminary budget. March 25th, Dr. Herzog will present the mental health initiative. And then April 8th, we'll review any changes to the preliminary budget, and April 29th will be the vote. Handout number 1 is, I'm going to hold off on handout number 2, actually. Handout number 3 is the square foot analysis of the new construction on the sheet, and these will be posted on the website. Tomorrow is the square foot analysis pre-construction, square foot analysis post-construction, and the percent increase. And obviously, with the percent increase will come an increase in utility costs, custodial costs, and of course, teacher costs, which was discussed during the during the referendum process. The next handout number 4 is a budget analysis of just the custodial maintenance and grounds accounts. On this sheet, the total cost for all those accounts is $3.8 million. Of that, 1.8 is salaries for the custodians, grounds, and maintenance staff, which is 48% of the budget. 25% is for utilities. 11% is contracted services. That's plumber, electrician, fire safety. There's a whole list of about 15 or so contracted services that we have. Next is the property and casualty insurance at 10%. Next is custodial maintenance supplies at 6%. And last is uniforms at 1%. Now, in terms of utilities, we're working with multiple different agencies on energy consumption measures. We had an audit done by PSE&G. They gave us a list of implementation items. We're looking to implement those items, so that will be discussed at a future meeting. Handout number 5 is the line item budget, so that's the detail of all the custodial accounts. I won't go line by line with them, but we'll take any questions at the end if anybody has any questions on any specific account. Then the next handout is handout number 6, which is the transportation line. This includes all salaries for our in-district bus aides, bus drivers, transportation coordinator, costs for our in-district routes, both the subscription busing, the VOTEX, and the special ed routes. Also included is the aid in lieu of transportation. That's for non-public school children who we cannot provide a bus for. We have to pay them aid in lieu, and you can see the increase is 2.74%. The next handout is just the projected transportation, the regular in-district VOTEX transportation. We have not received a commitment from DAPR yet to renew our routes for next year. They generally don't give that commitment until March or April, but we're predicting we're hoping and projecting that they will renew. And then the next handout is the baseline data. In this document, you'll see a narrative for each school. You'll see the certified staff, certified and non-certified staff. You'll see enrollment figures going back to 1991, I think. Oh, no, I'm sorry, 2000.
No,
Yeah,
91.
1991. This year's enrollment is 2306. And that's it. Any questions?
Mike,
You stunned folks into silence?
I have a
Okay,
question.
thank you.
Mike, we received the auditor's report this week,
Right.
and in there, they make some projections going forward on enrollment going up from some developments around town, and obviously we have the buildings open. I think we all assume we're going to have some influx of students once we offer full-day kindergarten, and we offer air conditioning in all the schools, and a new gym at the high school, and I mean, we're making obviously a number of improvements in our physical plant and the services we offer to the community. Do we have good projections? I mean, this goes obviously till 2025. We say 2306, but do we have in the next year? Are we anticipating increased students, or do we not know?
So we had a demographic study done, I guess about 4 years ago, and the board may want to discuss doing another demographic study because of all the developments in town. But the projection, if I remember correctly, from that demographic study is a 2% increase. But next year was the last year that study covered. So maybe that's a discussion at a finance meeting if we want to do another demographic study.
I think that might make sense, especially because that demographic study was undertaken before the referendum.
Correct.
And I personally think that we have, I think we all have a feeling that all these improvements we're making in the school physical plants and as well as the offerings with full-day kindergarten are going to increase these numbers, and those certainly weren't factored into the demographic study that was undertaken 4 years ago. So I don't know, maybe we need it, maybe we don't want to pay for it right now, I don't know, but I just, when we're talking about enrollment, I have to believe that the district is going to be more and more attractive for all Metuchen residents to send their students here. We know that some students, the families choose to send them to other private and parochial schools. We know that. Some parents, because they want full-day kindergarten, which we haven't previously been able to offer. Maybe because of the air conditioning, I don't know. Certainly that's something that some families might have found that we couldn't offer throughout the schools, perhaps. At the high school, the brand-new gym, the athletic opportunities that entails, perhaps. I don't know. But I certainly would be interested. Whether we need it enough to pay for it, I'm not sure, but I certainly would be interested in real projections going forward to try and budget appropriately into the future, the number of students. And of course, we're going to have the large projects in town at some point over the next couple of years coming online. The project on the old Galton site, I don't know if you've driven by it recently. We all know that it's large, but until you see it, it's massive. And it's quite a ways along, I think. I don't think they've sealed it in where they're just doing interior work, but it's there, and I assume it's coming, I don't know, another year perhaps? I don't know. Anyway, I just thought I might mention that.
Okay, that's a great idea, and we'll try to get a proposal for the next finance meeting.
Sounds good.
Mr. Harvey, I have just a quick question I'm wondering if you could help me out with. On page 5, line 61, talks about the electric for Metuchen High School. And
Yeah, it's a whopper.
right. So what I'm wondering is the square footage of the addition at the high school is equal to the square footage of Moss. Why the projected difference in the electric expenses for both of those? So that the one is more than double the other one.
So, just to back up a second, so that we're doing a lot of investigation on all of the electrical costs. That's why we did the study. We had our electric bills audited, like the actual bills, and then we did an audit of our building. But to answer your specific question, right now this is just our best projection, but we continue to work with our architects and the engineers. We're trying to get a square foot cost for air conditioning, and that's part of the confusion.
Is it impacted by the day and night, like more usage perhaps of the building?
The specific question,
So I'm seeing that the high school increase is like more than double what the Moss School increase is, even though the square footage increase from the construction of both buildings is about the same. So I was wondering why such a jump for the high school and not the same jump for Moss in the electric expenses.
I don't have the backup calculations, but we can get them and send them out.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
I'm guessing, well, I don't want to speculate, so I have the calculations in
Okay.
mind. Okay.
Thanks.
Well, I mean, I can speculate for you. I mean, you have the gym, which
Right.
is a different kind of space to add AC to versus a smaller classroom.
Right. But let me look at the calculations and,
Thank you. Any other questions? Wonderful. Dr. Caputo.
Thank you, Madam President. Tonight we have a presentation for the quarter one HIB and SSDS report. As everyone knows, annually I do a longer presentation, slides, but twice a year we have a smaller presentation which we just need to get on record. So tonight is the district SSDS and HIB period 1 report for September through December. And the first section of the SSDS, that's Student Safety Data System, is incidents by school. And we had 0 incidents at Moss, 0 at Campbell, 9 at Edgar, and 7 at the high school, for a total of 16 in period 1, that's September through December. In those categories, which these may not equal up because sometimes you can be in more than one category. At Moss and Campbell, we didn't have any instances. At Edgar, 6 were related to violence, 1 substance, 1 weapons, 2 HIB confirmed, and 1 incident leading to a removal, suspension. At the high school, 1 violence, 1 vandalism, 1 substance, and 4 others leading to removal. HIBs by school, 0 at Moss and 0 at Campbell, 9 at the middle school, and 2 at the high school, for a total of 11. Option G, which we call that option where principals, even if all the facts of the story they received were true, that if that case still wouldn't be an HIB, they don't need to investigate it as an HIB. We use it sparingly, but there's sometimes that people just toss out the word, and it's clearly not an HIB. We, in the period September through December, we invoked option G 5 times across the district, 3 times at Edgar and 2 times at the high school. Again, instances that we investigated as code of conduct that clearly weren't HIB from the beginning. In comparison to period 2 from 23-24, we used option G 6 times at the middle school in that last period. And that's it for the HIB SSDS. I can repeat any of that data or answer any questions that anyone has.
Do we have a copy of it or no?
I can get you a copy. I did not. But it's
Just
not
to
one of
help
those
me
reports.
process
Sure.
a little bit.
Sure, we
It's
can
fine.
send one out to the. Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Glassberg. Any other questions? Wonderful. All right, we turn to reports now from the president. I guess that's me. I just wanted to take a moment to assure everyone in our community that our district remains committed to providing a safe and inclusive learning environment for all of our students. Our New Jersey laws, specifically the law against discrimination, as interpreted by our Attorney General, protects all of our students from discrimination. Our curriculum adheres to the standards set by the State Department of Education, and we will continue to uphold these important commitments. Dr. Caputo, do you have a superintendent's report tonight?
Nothing except to just reiterate the importance of that announcement that you just made. So we take that role very seriously.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. All right, we turn to committee reports at this time. I believe that Mr. Glassberg,
You want to start at the end? Or
they haven't met, so.
Okay.
See, I'm on top of
Yes,
things.
construction met. Construction met on February 3rd, and we'll start with the more exciting stuff, and then I'll kind of work my way down. So we are excited to announce that we will have full-day kindergarten in 25-26, barring any life-altering emergencies of
Very
some
exciting.
kind. So we are fully planning for full-day kindergarten. You'll see on the finance agenda that there's a motion to hire kindergarten teachers as part of that process. This is the status of the project so far. So the space needed for full-day kindergarten and the HVAC work, that's the air conditioning, is expected to be completed on August 22nd at this point. So that allows full-day kindergarten to start. The full completion of Moss School addition is not expected until November 11th, which would impact the grade realignment, but not the full-day kindergarten. So the alignment is likely delayed there. Kindergarten orientation is expected, I believe, on February 19th from 5:30 to 8, so there'll be more information for that for the full-day kindergarten if that impacts you. Going to the other schools, August 22nd at Edgar is also the expected completion date for the office addition and classroom renovations there, as well as the HVAC work. So we're on track to have air conditioning at Edgar for the beginning of the next school year, along with the completion of the addition. At Campbell, same story. We are expected to have the cafeteria and the playground area fully completed for August 22nd, and air conditioning as well completed August 22nd, which would allow for air conditioning at Campbell for the beginning of the school year. And at Metuchen High School, the cafeteria addition is expected to be done on May 1st. The Board of Education offices that are vacating that Moss School are going to be potentially using that space for a period of time until the high school is done. The gym, the new gym, and the connecting classrooms on that portion of Metuchen High School are not expected to be done until December 9th. The field lights are expected for December 1st, and importantly, the HVAC work, air conditioning at the high school is expected to be done for September 1st, so we do expect to have air conditioning on the first day of school at the high school. So to reiterate again, full-day kindergarten is a plan, and we're extremely excited. This has been many, many years in the works. We are extremely thankful to the public for passing the referendum to support both the hiring of teachers to support full-day kindergarten, as well as the infrastructure that allows us to have the space for kindergarten. So thank you again to the public for that. And if you drive around town, you'll see a lot of the improvements that are already happening. Moving on to a couple of other items. We discussed summer programs that take place in the building alongside some of the construction that's happening. So the extended school year and administrative space are needed in the summer. And there's discussion about the recreation department use of space as well, and a decision is coming soon for that. We discussed auctioning equipment and furniture from the old spaces that are not going to be reused in the new spaces after construction. And we had a budget analysis reviewing all of the project expenses, contingency analysis, and what to do if the contingency funds remain. And we discussed various potential items that could be completed if if there's funds at the end of the project. And that is the end of my report, so thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Glassberg. I know that it gives you no small delight to be able to make that first announcement.
No small delight.
So
A lot of
thank
delight.
you. Thank you for your work shepherding this committee.
Thank you.
And all of the work to all of the previous board members who've put in the effort to make sure that this happened. And
Absolutely.
of course to our community for supporting our work.
And our
administration. Thanks all
for
around
sure,
to everybody.
Yes, so our administration, we've talked about this before, I think, but they're making a lot of sacrifices in order to allow that work to be done at Moss School, the teachers and the administrators, and then that will continue to impact the administrators as we have not quite finished their space at the high school in time, so they're going to be making further sacrifices there, so we do appreciate that.
Absolutely.
And finally, we are meeting February 24th. That meeting is open to the public, as we're going to continue to have every 2 months. That's at 7 p.m. in the Metuchen High School Library, February 24th. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Glassberg. Okay, thank you. Ms. Killeen, extracurricular.
Yes, thank you. Extracurricular also met on February 3rd, seems long ago now. You'll see on the agenda for tonight in a coaching approval for Edgar softball that was discussed. We also discussed the spectator code of conduct policy. There's a policy that's proposed, so that will be going to the policy committee for their review also. We talked about construction updates, especially their impact on spring sports practices, potentially games needed to be changed. We don't anticipate things affecting any of our sports or activities that way. We had a little bit of a preview into some budget items that we can expect in presentations, and we had a short discussion about boys basketball, cheer questions that we were thankful to have the opportunity to ask questions about. And that's it. Our next meeting is February 24th.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ms. Killeen. Mr. Suss, Finance.
Yes, Finance met on the 3rd, same night as extracurricular and construction. We had a brief overview of the 2% cap and just some of the budget history up until this year. We talked about, again, with the new spaces opening up, in the future budgets, what the additional funding might look like for that. We talked about the energy audit, which Mr. Harvey mentioned before. We talked about a proposal for fixing the rest of Campbell Field, the flooding issues that we have. Hopefully we'll be able to get that done. We talked about compostable forks and knives. Some really good ideas came out of that one. I know I need to bring some from work for the board to try, but some interesting ideas on like having people try some of that out. We talked about a technology E-rate purchase, which you'll actually see on the agenda tonight, and then the budget calendar, which also was already discussed tonight.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Suss. Any questions? Nope. All right. Ms. Shrestha, Student Board Member Report.
I just want to say good evening, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. Let's just get into it. I don't know if you guys have heard of or have any kids, but the second grade play is happening this Friday at the elementary school. I'm very excited about that. At the middle school, the 7th and 8th graders had like a school dance, and that went really fun. And apparently there's been a lot going around on like a lot of the students bringing their own personal computers in, which I'm like, I think that's an interesting switch maybe people might be making. And there's also some candygrams being sold at the middle school and some rosegrams sold at the high school for Valentine's Day, as we know is coming up. It's always great to see like these clubs, like Fashion Club is what's selling the rosegrams, like making money for themselves and raising money, which is always great to see. At the high school, we're also preparing for the Harvard Model Congress trip, which is next week, so very excited for that. And I don't know if you have any kids in the elementary school, but the Science National Honor Society did visit Campbell, and then we did a little presentation to these 3rd and 4th graders, and it was awesome. They're a lot more smarter than you think they are, for sure. That's definitely what I learned. And safety ambassadors will very soon and shortly be going to Campbell for the 1st and 2nd graders to give a presentation on safety and just an overview on that. The first semester grades did come out at the high school, so a lot of us are either seeing, okay, we're on the right track, or maybe it's time to step it up a bit, always a great reminder. And I just want to say that students across all ages are very excited about the delayed opening tomorrow.
Thank you for reporting from the front lines.
Thank you, of course. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ms. Shrestha. Any questions or comments on any of the reports this evening, folks? All right, seeing none. Is there any old business from the board? Any new business? Mr. Suss.
There were 2 questions I received from some constituents. One was, given what's going on in Washington, is the district concerned about some of the federal funds that might be coming our way, Title I, anything else? Is there an update on that?
So we're certainly following the executive orders out of Washington. We have talked about contingencies, that there's no change in the funding that we get. We don't get the proportion, the large proportion of our budget comes from the local taxpayer, but that federal funding in terms of the title grants are important to us. So we're planning for having that money. We're planning for contingencies such as the state's getting block grants and then the state deciding what to do with the money. And we're always, from year to year, we're not guaranteed that money. So we have seen dips and drops on like the 10, 15% amounts. So we've prepared contingencies for those, and we'll just keep our fingers crossed going forward.
Thank you. Oh, the other question was about closing schools for the Eagles Parade, but I'm not going to make him answer. I'm not going to make him answer that one.
That's what I was laughing at.
I will tell the constituent no.
I mean, we are Central Jersey, though. Just
but
making
that's
that
back to the old,
clarification.
is there really a Central Jersey?
There is really a Central Jersey. We live in it. All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Suss. I'd like to move to approve the minutes. Just kidding.
Any other questions? Did anyone have any questions?
Oh, other than Mr. Suss?
Yeah.
Yes. I think Mr. Suss was the only one who had
Okay.
questions, yes? Or did he spark one, and now Sunit's thinking, or Mr. Bott's thinking, maybe we should have Friday off? Just kidding.
Wants to talk about the Eagles.
All right, so now I move to approve the minutes of the Board of Education meetings of January 28th, Special Business Meeting 1, Special Business Meeting 2, as well as the board meeting. Is there a second? Mr. Glassberg. Any questions or comments? Wonderful. Roll call, please. Mr. Harvey?
Mr. Bott?
Yes.
Ms. Cheatham?
Yes.
Mr. Glassberg?
Yes.
Dr. Johnson Marcus?
Yes.
Ms. Colleen?
Yes.
Mr. Lifton?
Yes.
And Mr. Suss.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you so much, Mr. Harvey. The meeting is open to the public, who perhaps seeing the snow decided now was not a good time to come to our meeting. All right, now we move on to the recommendations of the superintendent of schools. Oftentimes, it may appear to members of our audience that the Board of Education takes action with very little comment, and in many cases, a unanimous vote. Before a matter is placed on the agenda at a public meeting, the administration has thoroughly reviewed the matter with the superintendent of schools. If the superintendent is satisfied that the matter is ready to be presented to the Board of Education, it is then referred to the appropriate board committee. The members of the board committee work with the administration and the superintendent to assure that the members fully understand the matter. When the committee is satisfied with the matter, it is presented to the Board of Education for discussion before any final action is taken. Only then is it placed on the agenda for action at a public meeting. So first up, we have the personnel items. I'd like to move items A1 through 18. Is there a second? Mr. Bott, are there any questions or comments on the personnel items? Mr. Glassberg.
Yeah, I just want to point out again, so we have kindergarten teachers.
We do.
On here.
So I'm asking the board to consider my recommendations tonight for Moss School as part of the second question, part of the referendum, money for staffing the new spaces, particularly at Moss. And tonight you see 4 teachers on there, as we're as close to 100% sure that we'll have full-day kindergarten as we can be. Asking the board to consider these excellent educators who want to get on board as we begin the expansion of Moss School.
Yep. Appreciate you looking ahead, being forward-thinking like that.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I believe a roll call prior to you. Yes. Roll call, please, Mr. Harvier.
Mr. Bott?
Yes.
Ms. Cheatham?
Yes.
Mr. Glassberg?
Yes.
Dr. Johnson Marcus?
Yes.
Ms. Colleen?
Yes.
Mr. Lifton?
Yes.
And Mr. Suss?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you so much. Dr. Caputo?
Madam President, thank you. So the board just, in addition to exciting bringing on those new teachers from Moss School, also accepted the retirement of 2 veteran educators from our district. First is Rob Strauss. Since 2003, Rob Strauss has been part of the very fabric of Campbell's Quilt. His dedication, hard work, care, concern, and passion has made a lasting impression and impact on the many students, colleagues, and families that he's worked with over the years. Throughout his career, he's been a collaborative partner and has served on multiple building and district-level committees and has also taken on leadership opportunities. In the words of his colleagues, Mr. Strauss has consistently demonstrated professionalism and kindness, making learning an enjoyable experience for all of his students. He's fostered unity and a commitment to prioritizing the best interests of students. His sense of humor has brought a positive atmosphere to every situation. Rob is a true people person, building rapport with everyone around him, and his absence will be profoundly felt within the Campbell School community. To say that he will be missed is truly an understatement. And secondly, the board accepted the retirement of Jeannie Hughes. Ms. Hughes has dedicated 37 years to educating students. She has been a special education teacher in Metuchen since 2009, where she has taught math as an in-class resource teacher as well as pull-out resource teacher. Ms. Hughes has made an incredible impact on students, colleagues, and the entire Edgar Middle School community. Besides helping students grow academically, she explicitly teaches them social responsibility and self-awareness. Ms. Hughes builds leadership skills in her students by working with them to lead lessons and activities in class. Her focus on both academic and social-emotional growth leads her students to a feeling of strong sense of connection within our school. Over the years, she has been an active member in several committees like the AI Committee, Wellness Committee, Scheduling Committee, Health and Safety Committee, District Technology Committee, School Improvement Committee, and the District Math Committee. Her passion for education, commitment to her students, and warm presence will be deeply missed. While we're sad to see her go, we celebrate her well-earned retirement and wish her endless joy.
Thank you, Dr. Caputo. Congratulations on the retirement for both Mr. Strauss and Ms. Hughes. That's very exciting for them. And congratulations to the district for getting 4 amazing teachers on board, getting us staffed up for our full-day kindergarten starting in September. Mr. Suss, Finance.
I'd like to move items B1 through B8 as listed on the agenda.
Is there a second? Ms. Colleen. Any questions or comments? You have a question or comment on yours?
Commenting on
All right. Roll call, please.
Mr. Bott?
Yes.
Ms. Cheatham?
Yes.
Dr. Glassberg? Mr.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Can you tell my employer that I'd like a salary bump? I'll vote yes.
Oh,
Dr.
dear.
Johnson Marcus?
Yes, please.
Ms. Colleen?
Yes.
Mr. Lifton?
I prefer to be called Dr. Lifton.
Mr. Suss?
Yes.
Mr. Suss?
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much. Are you supposed to say something? Motion carries or something? Or no?
What's that?
That
Oh,
was
yeah,
earlier.
motion carries, I'm
Okay.
sorry.
I was
I
waiting.
got distracted.
We flustered him.
All right. Next up is policy. As Dr. Spigner is absent, I'll move items C1 and 2 for policy. Do I have a second? Mr. Bott. Any questions or comment on the policy items? Wonderful. Roll call, please.
Mr. Bott?
Yes.
Ms. Cheatham?
Yes.
Mr. Glassberg?
Yes.
Dr. Johnson Marcus?
Yes.
Ms. Colleen?
Yes.
Mr. Lifton?
Yes.
And Mr. Suss?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you so much. Mr. Derflinger is also not present, so I shall move curriculum items D1 through 6. Is there a second? Mr. Lifton, are there any questions or comments on the curriculum items? Seeing none, roll call please, Mr. Harvier.
Mr. Bott?
Yes.
Ms. Cheatham?
Yes.
Mr. Glassberg?
Yes.
Dr. Johnson Marcus?
Yes.
Ms. Colleen?
Yes.
Mr. Lifton?
Yes.
And Mr. Suss?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you so much. And the meeting is open to the public for the third opportunity tonight. But again, the snow must be really coming down because there's no one here. All right, we turn now.
That's it, yeah.
That's it. That
That's
is
it.
totally why. Otherwise. Now we turn to Mrs. Cheatham for the announcements.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm going to start with Campbell Elementary School in Moss. They had a wildly successful readathon fundraiser that ended last Friday. They raised over $21,000 and kids logged over 117,000 minutes. The top 4 classes earned ice cream parties. The top 3 readers from each class earned a Barnes & Noble gift card along with their teachers. So really very successful and a great way to promote reading at the younger levels. With that, going over to Edgar, they have an upcoming event for Valentine's Day, the Valentine's Day breakfast. There's the Top Golf event, and then the 7th and 8th graders Student Council are hosting a food drive. In regards to the high school, the Metuchen Parent Teacher Council is excited to announce the Parents Night Out fundraiser. That's going to happen on May 2nd at Junior's Pub, featuring the commuters. The tickets go on sale March 1st, and they are looking for donations for the live auction. Remember, that was really successful last year as well. If you would like to donate, please contact them at ptcouncilmetuchen@gmail.com, and you can also find that on their website. And that's all I have for the announcements.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Cheatham.
Just one last thing before we close. Since our last board meeting, we had an alert from Dr. Caputo that we've accepted some retirements tonight, but we did have one longtime teacher pass away, and so just a recognition from at least myself, and I know a lot of people on the board had also expressed their appreciation and sympathies and condolences to the family. Miss Diane Kunzel, who had devoted an awful lot of her time to this district and influenced many, many lives. I know a lot of us are much better writers because of her, but just to acknowledge her contribution to the district and our appreciation for her service.
Thank you, Ms. Colleen. Really appreciate that.
I still have some of the essays that she graded. Thought about
Do you?
bringing them. Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Just to hop on, my daughter Julia was in her very last freshman English class when the year she retired, and was at her student retirement party. I'm sure she had other retirement parties, and my daughter is now an English teacher in New York City, and I can say that beyond the shadow of a doubt that the most influential teacher she had in her entire career in her choice of career path was Mrs. Kunzel. So I certainly was sad to see the news, and I did pass it to my daughter, who was also very sad. But certainly a teacher and a teaching life. I didn't know her personally, but I did know her as a teacher, and as a teacher, she's definitely worth remembering and worth celebrating. So thank you.
Thank you, colleagues, for your words of tribute to this exceptional educator. I appreciate that. It just goes to illustrate the depth of commitment to excellence we have here in this community. Is there anything else from anyone? All right, wonderful. I move to adjourn the meeting. Is there a second? Mr. Bott. All in favor? All right, have a good night, everyone.